This will be my last video before I go live for Steelers versus Browns Monday Night Football, and it has been a pretty wild week. I've gone from the last game to being really pissed off, annoyed, disappointed. From the very beginning of near the end of the game, I was like, "Man, this sucks. We're 0-1. Everything is falling down, and I'm losing a bit of hope." To now getting back up to that roller coaster ride where we were so high in the off season to being very down. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm starting to get back up to the very high peak of the roller coaster. And I know some fans aren't there just yet, and I understand that. I understand we need to see the fellas go out and play and score more points than 7 points. We need to, improve the running game that I believe is like ranked 32nd because they ran the ball 9 times and got like 30, 40 yards, something similar to that. Didn't do anything in the run game. They need to show Steeler Nation that we can do this, but I believe they can bounce back in this game, and it should be a fun game to watch, hopefully, from our side. But it's going to be a hard game as well. Deshaun Watson, if they don't take care of him, they don't stop the ball running, Nick Chubb, or they don't fight fire with fire in the offensive line and their D line, and don't win the trench battles without Cameron Hayward. But also, guys, near the end of the video, I'm going to show you guys what the Steelers' record is without Cameron Hayward. But they need to show up, helmet on a helmet, and just pretty much forget about last week. Forget about what happened with the 49ers in that game. You learn from it. You move on. Yes, we got the injury with Cameron Hayward, and yes, we got the injury with Deontay Johnson. But you forget about that. You move on. And now we need some dogs in the fight. That is Corn Alexander, Mark Robinson, if he plays some snaps, Elena Roberts, Cole Holcomb, need to set the tone and physicality for this game from the get-go. I'm talking from kickoff, from the first snap, from the first series. I would say if you win the coin toss this time, maybe give them the ball and make sure they got to go to the whole field to get a TD or a touchdown or a field goal or whatever it may be. Set the tone. That didn't happen last week with the 49ers. Steelers were always on the back foot. And in saying on the back foot, Kenny Pickett was throwing off his back foot and didn't look the best that he can be, right? But in this game, I expect to see something different. I expect Kenny to get back to his preseason ways with, the accuracy that we saw with Deontay, the link up with Freiermuth over the middle, the passing with George Pickens as well. Just give him the ball and the chance, one-on-one matchup, and Pickens can go up and get that football. I expect that kind of football and also running the football too. On offense, I expect to see Najee Harris get 20 carries, I'd say around that mark, and then Warren get about from 7 to maybe 12 carries if everything goes that way. That's what we want to see. We want to see the team run the football, run Najee, run Warren, and just get yards in that game. And they're 32nd. I know it's only week one, but they're 32nd. They're pretty bad at that. We didn't run the football last week versus the Niners, and so I just want to see them run the football, play action pass, and don't have to rely on Kenny Pickett to go win games and be the superstar of the show. He's not just ready just yet to do that. Run the game, good defense, and put pressure on them and make sure they don't run the rock as well. Because that's what it comes down to that. It comes down to stopping Nick Chubb and then forcing Deshaun Watson to pass, which leads into my other point I want to make too. The secondary has to go out there and do something a lot better than last week. Now, Patrick Peterson has a podcast like myself here, and I hopefully want to get Patrick Peterson on the show one day, or even Brian McFadden too on the show too. But he was saying a few things about Brock Purdy, and he owned up to it. And he said, well, I'm going to go out there and get a pick. It didn't happen. He got 2 TDs against him, but he owned up to it. So when you start talking the talk, you have to walk the walk. And now Patrick Peterson, he's a legend. He's a future Hall of Famer. But I want to see that from him, lead by example with the secondary, and him and Levi Wallace work in tandem. Do they feed in JPJ? He might play into this game. Now, the Steelers defensive coach, Austin, said they're working him into the game or working him into the Steelers rotation. What does that mean? I don't overly know. And then also, how do you fill that role, that gap that is Cameron Hayward? Do you have Ogunjobi one side? Does DeMarvin Leal play the other? Does Keanu Benton start? You have to stop the run. That's one of the biggest things. If Nick Chubb runs all over us, it's going to be a very long day. But I do want to bring up something here, and that is the Cameron Hayward effect. So we know that the Steelers have a pretty bad record when TJ Watt's out. I think it's like 1 or 2 wins and like 9 losses, something similar. But with this one here, sorry, I moved myself down the bottom. Here we go. So Cameron via StatMuse, by the way. So I'll try and share this link in the description below. But pretty much via StatMuse is the Pittsburgh Steelers have a record of 8-3 without Cameron Hayward. I didn't know that. I had no idea that existed. So they haven't missed him too much in the lineup, right? Now, this goes all the way back to 2016 when he lost 30-15 against Miami. We lost 27-16 against New England. Then we have, without Cameron Hayward for a few years, for whatever may reason that could have been, it could have been he sat out. It could have been injury. It could have been anything. So they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He won 8 games in a row without them. And in 2021 versus the Browns, we lost that game 24-22, which I think might have been the last. He might have been a healthy scratch. So when it was 24-22, that was the Landry Jones game, I believe, when we sat half our players. And was it Jones? I think it was Jones. Let me know in the comments below, guys. I think it was Jones. They sat Landry Jones, and half the Steelers team sat out as well. They could have beaten the Browns that day, and that means they would have missed the playoffs. We know what happened the week after. The week after the Steelers versus Browns at home, the Browns beat us like 48-37, right? It was ridiculous. So that was one of the last games that Cameron Hayward sat out. We lost 24-22, and they sat out Big Ben. So they've done quite well, actually, without Cameron Hayward in the lineup. But that's one thing I'm looking out for is that the Steelers haven't got Cameron Hayward. They haven't got Deontay Johnson. I believe that Gunnar Olszewski will be moved up. I think Boykin might even make some snaps. But here's the big test too. And the big test for not only Mike Tomlin in Canada, Kenny Pickett, is can Kenny Pickett find CA3, right? George Pickens, we know they're gonna double him. They're gonna take him out of the game as best they can as a number one wide receiver. Then you have to do you go to Robinson, right? The vet, or do you try and find plays and scheme out plays to get the ball involved to CA3? I actually see CA3 having a pretty big game. If I'm going to put any stats, and I'm saying like maybe 7 catches, 85 yards, something like that, maybe a TD. I think as well, and I might even try and check the tape after the game. And look, I don't care if I'm right or wrong, but I'm just having a prediction. I'm going to say that Freiermuth has a big game too, like maybe 5, 6 catches, 80-something yards. Pickens, I believe, will get a few big catches like that. And, of course, going towards Robinson too. He got to step up and play in because there's no DJ. And DJ gets a lot of the snaps and a lot of the football is going his way. And then also don't forget about Connor Hayward too. He played pretty well last week in a loss. And I expect him to, get involved in the offense, get some short balls and start running with passion and power. Because you got to feed the guys like Warren and Hayward who like to hit people. You got to give them the ball to set the tone on offense. That's what we need. We need some leaders on offense. Kenny Pickett is our captain now. He's got to step up. He's got to shake it away and start to throw the football down the field and actually get some conversions and move the chains. We can't have the same repeat last week that was 1 or 2 yards in the first half. Anyways, guys, I'm really excited, man. Hope you guys are excited too. I know it is your Monday morning. Some of you guys are going to work. Some of you guys take the day off. Whatever you may do. Hopefully, you guys have a good game checking out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't give up just yet. I'm keen. I'm excited. I can't wait for this game. I'll be up at my 7 a.m. We're premiering a video on TDU, Steelers Touchdown Under. So I'll be in the chat for that with a coffee and whatnot. Then I'm having a live stream from my 9:30 a.m., which is also about half an hour before the game. Steelers need this one. They need this one. And if you guys want to put in predictions too, put in predictions. The Steelers need this win. It's not the season's not over. If we lose this game, we go 0-2. It's not over mathematically, but they need this win to bounce back. And for all the moves they did in the offseason, bringing all the guys in, they need this win to come together. And you know what? Last week, the 49ers, they humbled us. They said, you guys aren't a Super Bowl team. We are. The 49ers now 2-0. They beat the Rams. They humbled us. And can there be changes made? For sure. Can improvement happen? For sure. But I'll still stick by them. I'm keen to see what happens. I think Najee has a big game tomorrow too. If they run the rock with Najee, they move forward with Warren, then good things can happen on the offense. And of course, TJ Watt is trying to get that number one that sack so he can be 81.5. So he has the all-time leading sack leader in the Steelers history. Now he's tied with Debo Harrison right now, but he should break it tomorrow versus Watson. I want to see a big game from Highsmith as well. Just guys like that. We just have to have a better taste in our mouth than what we saw last week with the 49ers. And I think we will. I don't think the world's going to end. I did the show with Arsenal DB, talked about the world ending if the Browns win, and some yinders out there, and rightly so. If the Steelers do lose and we're going to be 0-2, it's going to feel like the sky is falling and the world is ending, but I don't see that happening. I've got the Steelers winning this game in a very, very close matchup, and put the scores in below too if you want to. I've got the Steelers winning 24, the Browns 23. Now, the Browns are going to run down the field at the last minute or so, get to about the 45 yards with 10 seconds to go, 4th and 6 or something like that. They're going to try for a field goal, and they're going to miss it. The winds, the gust of wind, the Pittsburgh City weather is going to blow the wind out of the way, the ball, and it's going to go wide right or wide left, and the Steelers are going to hang on to win 24-23. Anyways, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. I can't wait to watch this game. I'm super excited, super pumped. And as always, here we go, Steelers. Here we go.